sustainability is a people problem and we can solve it. It's a bit of a lofty promise, I must admit, but I think we can come a long way. Thanks for confirming. I'll just dive into it. If you have any questions during this presentation, Marlijn, a colleague of mine, has also volunteered and joined today. She has been involved in a lot that I will be discussing as well. So you can ask your questions in chat and she can answer them real time. Also, we can discuss them later. Of course, I think there's some time for that as well. But please, so we can make this as much an interactive session as possible, which I think I at least like, and I hope you guys do too. My name is Joost. I'm a Dutch guy, and my hair is a little longer now than it is on the picture. And then well, as already mentioned, I'm working at Koos Service Design, focusing mostly on sustainability and how service design, just what we have in common, can serve that purpose. And I'll be talking about that now as well with you guys. First, really quick, I'll just skip over it. We're Koos Service Design, a design agency based in Amsterdam and in Lisbon. We also have an office, and recently we started an office in Berlin, which were one of these design agencies that really started as a service design agency with a lot of designers on board, slowly also graduating into moving to UX design, because we see a lot of opportunities for service designers to actually contribute and work together with UX to make services even better. Well, we're just an excited bunch of people to see what other opportunities are on the horizon, including this one, which we're all really passionate about. I'll not do a lot of this slide except for the last point. Well, we do a lot. Empathy is our core business, being service designers. We do a lot with data. Design is in everything we do. So we come to actionable results. I don't think we have to explain that too much today. One of the main things that unites us at Koos is the impact agenda we have. We believe we're in a world made better by design. And we're really focusing on making as much positive impact as we can. And that's also why we are focusing on sustainability as a topic so much. And I'm really happy to be part of that, and also to be able to push that charge. So let's talk a little bit about impact and the impact we can make. Obviously, we're here for planet type impact. And when it comes to the planet, we're in a transition, or more like the planet is in a transition, which is kindly caused by us human beings. As we always did, humans being human, we are looking at our tools for help. So we're trying to look into technologies to help us out and to see if we can, face this challenge that we're facing now, as we have always done. Unfortunately, there's also something in the way. The same type of being that's making the technology is in its own way. We don't want windmills everywhere. We're resisting change, and us humans are our main problem when it comes to making this sustainable change. So that's where the thesis comes from, that sustainability is a people problem and not necessarily a technology problem. Of course, technology needs to be there and we need to invent it. I don't want to discard the idea of technology being important. But something that I feel as though being overlooked in that in the arena right now when it comes to sustainability is just our own role in this to play, our own role in resisting the change. And that's exactly the part that we as service designers are really good at addressing and, solving in a certain way. Because when you look outside, and I'm pretty sure you see what I'm seeing when you look outside, you see houses, stuff being built, just us humans putting our footprint basically everywhere that we are physically stepping to, but you get what I mean. So however big the human-made system may be, it's still human-made. We are still at the core of it and we can still change it. And that's why something I often use is a Lego kit as a metaphor, because large systems are pretty comparable to Lego kits when it comes to changing them. A system we've built right now, the one of the linear economy, you can say, I'll be focusing this presentation on the on circular economy, by the way, because that's where we did a case, but it goes for every transition, most likely. Our influence can also, it also counts for the energy transition. It also counts for, well, just about every sustainable transition we need to make. I'll just focus on this one to make it more concrete. So talking about this linear economy, it looks something, just stretch your mind a bit. It looks like this, well, this Ford Mustang. Every brick, Lego brick in it has its own place. You can look at it like every Lego brick is an institution or a person, or, well, in that way, they have their own place and they work together to create this system, being the car. Now, what? Yes. The system, though, is not one we can hold on to much longer. If we do, a lot of bad stuff is going to happen. So we need to change it. And maybe you remember back when we were young, you could make, or maybe now, hopefully, you can make some, you can pull apart a car and they have like, you can make a second build, you can make something else out of it. So it's up to us right now to look into how can we make this Ford Mustang into this new, well, replica of a Tesla Cybertruck. I tried to make it as sustainable as I could, but well, it's still a car. We can discuss that. That's not the point right now. So how can we turn this Mustang into a new car, a new society, a new economy? How can we turn this linear economy into something circular using the same bricks, the same people, maybe the same institutions? The problem is, when we were building Legos, we had manuals and we could make a train out of an airplane. But now there's no manual. And that is exactly where we as service designers come in. Because let me show this to you by showing you this case, this thing we've been working on. About a year and a half back, we received a question from the municipality of Apeldoorn, which is a Dutch city in the east of the country. It's big for the Netherlands, but quite small for the US. So it's 160,000 inhabitants, which is, I think, a village when in your neck of the woods, or at least part of your neck of the woods. As a municipality in the Netherlands, they have to be, well, there's the government said to them, by 2030, you have to be 50% circular. So 50% of all the materials that you own or use should not be of virgin material. And by 2050, that's even 100%. And that means when it comes to, well, municipalities, everything outside of the, like the border of your garden wall, more or less, is theirs. So that's bricks in the streets, street lampposts, benches, parks, and everything that goes around it. So that's quite a lot of material. So municipalities, among them this one, Apeldoorn, it has their hands in their hair thinking about how to make this, well, how to eventually turn this into something circular, where it's very linear right now. So they approached us with the question of how to shape a smooth collaboration process among all stakeholders and document that in a scalable way. And the important thing here is the process among all stakeholders, because obviously in this case, we were not working with customers, not with people like you and me walking across the street, but we were working with everyone involved in, well, road renovation or urban planning. And so we had to step up our game to really get into the operations of the municipality and all the companies involved here. Now, I was expecting to find a video, but it will come later. So I'll talk a bit about the stakeholders. You see these 7 or 6 stakeholders. These are the stakeholding companies. Now, I made it a little clearer because within these companies, the municipality being top left, and a software company being top right, you see all these different roles of people involved. There's, of course, there's the project manager for public space with all their, well, they want things to be on time. They want to have good communications with all the parties they are working with. But there's also a circularity expert who has their target and wants to involve circularity in the project. There's a systems administrator who has who is looking into or who has control over the virtual aspect of it all, so to virtually log which materials are being used. And in this case, he also wanted to have all the information necessary at the right moment, at the right time. Now, with all these different roles, you can already see that there's a lot of different things to be exchanged, especially if you want to turn this linear process that they've been working in for ages, and they can just they know how it works, how to turn that into something circular, into something new, basically. And that's where we used service design. So the process we went through, I'm not going to discuss like that right now. I'm going to show you a short video, because I think that will be quite illustrative of what we did. And then I'll talk you through the process. Nope, it's this one. Please let me know if you don't hear sound. I think it will be okay, but just in case.
We need to move from a linear to a circular economy. The technology is often there, but it is our resistance to change which is the problem. Top-down initiatives fail due to lack of ownership within organizations and the absence of a clear path to results. Meanwhile, the urgency to act is increasing. To move towards a circular economy, we need to change our approach and use new thinking. This is where service design comes in. Service design ensures a shared vision of the circular future, clear interventions by experts on how to get there, and above all, bottom-up ownership within the stakeholding organizations. We apply a structured design approach to guide stakeholders in reshaping their process. We thoroughly listen to all involved stakeholders and experts, both within and outside the organization. We create a visual overview of the current process and challenges based on our findings. Together with all stakeholders, we identify and prioritize opportunities to create a new circular process. Using this approach, we have helped a wide range of organizations make their steps to a circular economy concrete and actionable. We can only change the system together, and service design has the tools to make it stick. Want to learn more? Let's have a coffee.
All right, so as Marike, a colleague of mine, voiceover in the video, just explained, the service design process is very well suited to also involve all stakeholders involved in turning something linear into something circular. Going through basically the same steps, and starting with empathizing with all stakeholders, creating a visual overview of what the process looks like a customer journey, slightly different. I'll show you in a bit. And then based on that, again, together with all the stakeholders involved, co-create a circular way of working and identify opportunities together to work on and really start rapidly prototyping and implementing them. So I'll go through this step by step in this project to show you how we approached it, and then afterwards I'll also share some learnings for what we as service designers can bring to the table in processes like this. Starting with empathizing with all stakeholders, much like we usually do with all users. In this case, we started to sit down with everyone involved, all these different tags you just saw on the company logos, to hear their part of the story. Initially with a kickoff with everyone involved. You probably know this from regular service design projects, but also in interviews of 1 to 1.5 hours each, listening to what their process was like, what they wanted out of a process, what their role was, what they liked and didn't like in communication with other parties, and just how they approached their job as in general, which we learned a lot from about road renovation, public road renovation, because that was the main case we worked on. And I'm pointing outside because I'm looking at a window right now where there's a road in front. Based on all this input, we created a visual overview of the current process. Still nothing really new when it comes to service design, because we usually do that. But in this case, we did a little different. We mapped out the process instead of the customer journey or the experience that people have, we made a process journey. So we shaped all the different, like how all the different stakeholders are working together in sequence. And in what stages they are making decisions together or handing over stuff to each other. And in doing so, we made a first draft. This is the first draft you see right here. And we could share that with them. And actually, the very fun thing was, this is the first time for them to see it. Sometimes within a municipality or within one organization, they have a clear view of who does what at what moment and how, like a visual, they have a visual overview of the process. But rarely, I actually dare to say never, is there a process that covers like all the stakeholders involved and just who does what at what moment. And that's what we did. Especially interesting. So it was very interesting, especially for all the contracting companies usually working with the municipality, to see what was going on at certain points in the process. And already really early in the process, they could say, okay, so if I'm only working here, but I see that you are working, like that you can use us, or we can put more emphasis in that phase, so you can be more, like our services can be of more benefit. This overview already gave a lot of insight, even though it wasn't perfect yet, because we helped, like we put it to, like we made this, shared it with them so they could again give feedback. That's what the red and blue Post-its are for. And then we took it back and iterated on it. Now, based on that, we could, well, we had sessions with them. This was deep into COVID time, so we were all remote, everyone working from their own desk. But we worked with everyone involved to, well, create this, this new process journey. First, we checked with them the current journey, and then we sat down to really redesign this journey and hear from them where the possibilities were for turning this linear process into something circular. And as you can see, this process looks a lot like the first one I showed you back a couple of slides back. It's iterated, of course, because we heard their input and we used that to really make it as perfect as we could. But we also did another thing. Just really briefly, if you're used to customer journeys, the layout is pretty much the same. So you see these different phases on top and the steps below that in the colors blue and green. So really so you get a bit of an idea. There's the long-term planning. It's the lange termijn planning in Dutch for I saw someone from Rotterdam. Shout out to Rotterdam. The long-term planning, project planning. So exactly what we have a project set for renovating this road. Then there's also all other things going in. So trees can be replaced. Maybe some sewage needs to be replaced in that same spot and they want to combine stuff. So that's what happens in the project planning. Then they think about the initial approach. How are they gonna, like, how is everyone involved gonna make sure that this project is gonna be a success? And the redesign or the design starts. Then there's a tender. So the contractor gets to do their bid and well, accept the offer in the end, and they're gonna execute it and well, wrap it up afterwards. So that's basically the steps that this process is going through. And throughout, you see vertically aligned all these stakeholders that are working together. Some more than others in certain phases. For example, the companies doing the research of the roads, they are working mostly at the start and at the end. Now you see green dots and you see white dots. And this is where we did a little trick, because the green dots are the ones that show the linear process, the process as it is right now. The white dots, they show the circular interventions that we came up with together with this group of experts and stakeholders involved. Now, again, as you see this, much like initially when they first saw the process overview, you start to see that the amount of interventions actually is not that much. And there's still a lot that stays the same. A lot of meetings around design, for example, needs to stay the same. So this already gives some concrete handles on how much of an impact this circular economy is going to have on their day-to-day activities, their day-to-day work. So that was a very interesting shift. We noticed that there was less unease within the project. Now, based on that, we could identify opportunities, much like a customer journey again, looking really visually at what parts do we need to focus on to really make this 80-20 impact, to really make an impact with as least effort as possible. So we found that this was possible in the project planning, of course, really early in the process, during the redesign, and in executing, and that's in executing the project and really exchanging the materials. And we started rapidly prototyping that. Again, with all stakeholders there. Throughout the process, everyone was at least in the loop and very often there in sessions. And we did 3 design sprints together with them, of which one had the outcome of the material passport. Because obviously, well, if you're going to have materials move around within a municipality, so they're going to be pulled out of the ground somewhere and they're going to have to be placed in another spot to make it circular, then there needs to be a lot of information about these materials known in the virtual space, the software that the municipality is using for all the materials they manage. So the question was, what does a material passport entail? What needs to be in there, and what information are we going to need? Where are we going to get that information from? And as one of the results of one of the sprints, we sat together with all these stakeholders and mapped that out. We had a brief, well, a simple Word document where everything was just lined out, the should-haves and the nice-to-haves of these materials, which could then be used as literal input for the software engineers to make the new system. This was one outcome for the design sprint that I wanted to share with you. We can go into others as well, but I don't want to, just due to time, I didn't want to go too deep into it. I do want to share one other video, because it's a video of the process that we did here, and it might just round off this case really well. Again, the other side. It starts off right away, so be ready.
Municipalities continuously rebuild and renovate. This is necessary to keep public spaces livable and to respond to new developments. But what happens to the old material? Let's take a look at this brick, for example. In theory, this brick could perfectly well be reused, but that rarely ever happens in practice. Despite goodwill, people within the municipality face complex processes with many stakeholders and are facing financial restrictions. That's why we took a closer look at these processes together with the involved stakeholders, and it turned out that reuse is possible. By using a new combination of techniques, data on materials can be collected and added to existing databases. By making this data available to trading platforms, a new use can be found for this brick. By adding these innovations in the current construction and renovation process of municipalities, we learned that the solution to a circular way of working does not lie within one construction project, but can be found in the larger picture of material flows. Linking this to the municipality's multi-year plans, it becomes clear when materials will be available for reuse. New uses can be found for each material, and a new project can be realized with previously used materials. If all municipalities take part, we can make circularity a success. That's why we have developed tools that municipalities can use to take the first steps in getting started with circularity themselves. Are you curious about these examples, or do you want to get started yourself? Take a look at our website.
Yes, before you start seeing my YouTube recommendations, I'm going to move you back to where we were. So in this process, I'm showing you the same slide again. You can see that this is exactly the service design process we did, working together with these stakeholders, doing kickoff sessions, interviews, making this process journey as a visual overview, co-creating this way of working in the same fashion as we usually do, just with stakeholders and with another topic really deep into the operation of, in this case, road renovation, and identifying opportunities together to then move into implementing them, prototyping and implementing them. So if it isn't clear yet, just a brief nod to what service design can do in topics like this. What we did is not your typical service design process. Obviously, we didn't talk with users like you and me, and we didn't talk about emotions too much. But we did get into the weeds of all these different processes that are playing out in the large systems that we are dealing with in the world right now. And the basics for that are still the same. A very important part of that is empathy. I think the core skill of every service designer. It's still the superpower that's going to get us to change, to change this planet, or at least address the people problem. Because in this process, by giving people the time, these stakeholders the time to address their concerns, to share their way of working, and to simply explain to us how they'd like to see it or think along with solutions. We made sure that everyone involved felt heard. Something that's very often not the case if top-down things are being pushed on them and they just have to deal with it. Not only did we create, we listened to these stakeholders, but also because we had them in sessions, they could talk with each other, they could see each other's viewpoints, and they could learn from each other around circularity, and also see what the approaches were of other stakeholders involved, and also the needs the others had, so they could better serve each other as well, even though they might not be direct stakeholders they might not have worked together before, simply because they were in other phases of the process. Now, there's also language as a thing. In this project, we noticed that just road renovation has its whole, has an entirely separate jargon from the rest of the world, speaking their own language, and even among each other speaking slightly different languages, but still trying to, connect. So for us, we needed to learn and speak their language, but also for them among each other, they started to gradually, throughout this process, speak the same language and get the same, create the same targets around sustainability, but also around just simply working together in on road renovations, which is also something that empathy brings across, that by giving people time, by bringing people together, we can facilitate, and not something that technology can do in any way. Furthermore, there's the visual overview. And I think this might be even more important. No, this is another very important one. It provides everyone with just this clear vision to rally around. The process journey we were discussing, but we also made several different deliverables here to have everyone create this common ground, this clear view on what the current process was and just how they could change it towards the future. So that way we could make change visible and make it discussable, and also make it tangible in a way that they could see, just peek a little bit over the hedge to see what's ahead, instead of just this vague term of circularity. It gave them control, because they saw that if they had input that we could use, we would use it in the visual as well. And we created something they could rally around, that they could move back to if they had any questions. Now, coming back to empathy and making people feel heard, obviously co-creation is a big part of that as well. It contributes to that in a big part as well, which really creates this ownership over the problem and over the solutions that are being that they come up with, experts and just other stakeholders alike. And because these solutions are being brought up by the people who have to implement them in the end, they become these bottom-up solutions that really fit their way of working and have a very have quite a stronger chance of working out than the solutions proposed by consultants like me, or by top down by a board. And finally, obviously the stakeholders are the experts. they know a lot about their field. Even though they might not be sustainability experts, they still know what's feasible and what doesn't work. So they like not involving them is almost a crime in getting like to their knowledge. And it really helps having them on board, making things move faster. So I haven't even spoken about prototyping or well, all the other things that service design can do, but I think these three things are the most important ones. So this is how service design can help tackle this people problem, and how together with all the stakeholders involved, we can make that manual that we are craving for. We can make the visual overview for us to look into what the current process looks like and how we can turn that into the Tesla Cybertruck, the circular economy of the future. Or, as I said, any transition we are looking into that has a process that people work together in to make a reality. So if you're just waking up, service design is I think is the way to solve this big challenge of sustainability, at least a very big part of it. And it's a match made in heaven, and I think we should use it. And us as service designers look for opportunities to try and push the boundaries of what service design does. And we can always also discuss what we can do already within the boundaries that we have right now. But please ask a question about that if you have any. A couple of things about this real quick. We have lunch and learn sessions about this also around lunchtime Dutch time though, and also provide lectures like this. There's also another one on what us as service designers on our post stamp, our little area can do. And there's a white paper about this. You can find it on our website, and you can just check out Koos or myself on LinkedIn, where I'm sharing a lot about this. This website will get you to the white paper. I see that I am almost on time. So thank you very much for having us. And please ask questions, reach out and join the discussion, because I think that's what we as service designers need to do around this.